Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Football.
And welcome into the Inside Arkansas Football pregame show presented by Saracen. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your morning. This morning is, yes, we are continuing on. There's a football season. It's not just the coaching search season. Arkansas does play today against the LSU Tigers. Battle for the Golden Boot between two interim head coaches there in Baton Rouge at 11:45 on the SEC Network. And guys, I know basketball's here, coaching search is here, but Razorbacks still got 3 games left of the season, and this is the battle for the Golden Boot. So how are we feeling this morning?
Yeah, you know, people say that this might be the least intriguing Arkansas-LSU matchup in the series in a long, long time. I would argue that the stakes are high. You know, the winner gets the Golden Boot, the loser gets Ed Orgeron. So there's a lot going into this game here this morning. So all jokes aside, though, it's been a minute. I am, believe it or not, looking forward to watching this team play again. And I do hope they find some success. I know it's been frustrating for people, and you get so caught up in the coaching search, as you should, because it's the future of the program. It is the most important thing going on right now. The basketball team's a lot of fun. Sure, all those things are true. But one thing I will say about this team is, you know, through everything that they've gone through here, boy, they can't get out of their own way. They make mistakes. They find ways to lose in just unimaginable fashion. But they haven't quit, and I will give them credit for that, because a lot of teams do. Did you see what Florida did against Kentucky last weekend? That is quitting when you're in a situation like Arkansas is in right now, and they haven't done that yet. So for some of these guys who are, you know, kind of in the twilight of their college careers, for the Cam Balls, the Taylor Greens of this team, I do hope that they find some success. I'd love to see them go down there and get a win in Baton Rouge. So looking forward to watching the game, looking forward to talking about it here this morning.
Yeah, I'm buzzing, boys. Really, really fired up for this matchup. I grew up in the state of Louisiana. I've always hated LSU, and I've always loved Arkansas. It's just been pretty much the only two things I've known and hold true to my heart through every stage of my life. And so if Arkansas does find a way to beat LSU, even though it may feel lackluster, even though it may feel like the stakes aren't that high, I will not take it for granted. I will never take that for granted. And so hopefully that's what happens here. But if not, I will quickly dismiss this, get right back to coaching search season, and we're all right back to it. But would be nice, man. Would be nice. And it is just kind of fascinating to you don't see the battle of the interims too much. And it is just kind of weird that this game feels this way. Can't wait to see what that atmosphere looks like in Baton Rouge as well with an 11:45 kick. But it should be a fun one that I'm sure will not get everyone up in a tizzy.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to know the type of atmosphere to expect, as of right now where it stands, you can get tickets as low as $4 to get into the door. So, yeah, not exactly Death Valley at night expected here today. But listen, it's something to where I don't think anyone expected this to be the situation, maybe more so of Arkansas having an interim. But, you know, LSU and what they've gone through, we'll see. They're coming off the game against Alabama. Arkansas is coming off of a bye week. And we're going to see, you know, which team wants it more. Is LSU going to let go of the rope? Like, how is this all going to play out? But still, Arkansas originally opened up as a 6.5-point underdog, or 6-point underdog, I believe. And according to Saracen, it's moved all the way down to 4.5, 4. So people are feeling Arkansas. I think that's more maybe of the one possession loss that Arkansas is so keen on being, and field goals especially. But it's just crazy, guys. Arkansas, of course, 2-7, 0-5 in SEC play. LSU's 5-4, 2-4 in the SEC. And, you know, teams have been disappointments for their own. The status of, you know, Garrett Nussmeier, is he going to play? Like, what's that situation going to look like? As far as we know, it looks like Arkansas is going to be fairly healthy, maybe a few guys there into the mix that we've already known about. But just as far as just in generalization, we know the situation. But what is it that you're looking for? You know, like, is there something that you expect out of this game? Is it something you're predicting, something you would like to see? Just overall, for a game that doesn't mean anything, what can you take from it, or what would you want to take from it?
Entertain us, at least. You know, like, can we not do the 18 penalty thing, whether you blamed a bunch of that on the refs or, you know, Arkansas for being undisciplined? I would just like to see this Razorback team get out of their own way a little bit and just let the football kind of decide how this thing ends up. And more than anything, for me, like, the defense, it is what it is. You know, I know LSU is not that potent on the offensive side of the football. Maybe you can find some kind of neutralization there, but when I've had the most fun watching this Razorback football team this year, it's when that offense has been humming. And I know LSU's got some good things going on the defensive end, but they have struggled with mobile quarterbacks, for example. So this could be an opportunity for Taylor Green, after You think back to that Auburn game and the way things ended against Mississippi State, and it's like, okay, would be nice to see him get back on track a little bit and give us some of those moments that we've grown to appreciate from him when things are going well. So I would like to see him move the ball up and down the field, score some points, and at least us, let us enjoy our afternoon watching this football team play a game. And the line movement's probably got a lot to do with the quarterback situation over there at LSU, like you alluded to. But if they go with Michael Van Buren, he did throw for 310 on Arkansas last year. I think they picked him off a couple times, but I don't think it matters who the quarterback is against the Razorback defense. So give me the points, man. I'd like to see a high-scoring affair. I don't know if we're going to get that, but that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I certainly would like to see some points, and it will be interesting. I mean, this is, as bad as LSU's been, this defense has not been an easy one for opponents to get going against. And so I do think that would be an impressive feat if Arkansas were to string together what they've done against most teams, which is a lot of ball movement, a lot of yards, a lot of points, always being a threat and always seeing how dangerous they are. Going into a lot of these games under Bobby Petrino's interim tenure, we've kind of done the thing of, okay, what would a win mean for Bobby? If he wins this one, does he have to win 2 more? Does he have to win 1 more? We're kind of past all that now, and so I don't think this game really has much bearing. And I know there's probably people shaking their fist as they're hearing me say that, thinking that I'm arguing for Bobby Petrino. I think this game is unique because really I just want this team to give us something to talk about, and that can be anything. And a lot of times going into a football game on a Saturday in the SEC, if you just win the game, that's enough to give us something to talk about. That actually might not be enough in this one. You kind of have to give us something, whether it's a young player stepping up that you can kind of think and say, okay, is this maybe a guy we'd want to have on the roster next year? But I think with Arkansas fans, this is such a tough spot because never have they been in a position where the game that's playing in front of them has absolutely zero bearing on the program's future. Literally any other, however you think the worst moment was under Sam Pittman, you could at least watch the game, feel like it had some stakes, feel like it determined what was going to happen with the program moving forward. I want them to somehow show me something today that we can at least latch onto, whether it's a young guy that we, are now excited about. Maybe you see a quarterback change. Maybe you see KJ Jackson get an extended look. Maybe it's just Arkansas putting together a complete game and kind of solidifying for us that they've been underachieving to this point. But give us something to talk about, man. And maybe it will just be how much of a disaster LSU is.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just, it's all about the entertainment, which I know, of course, you'll take the win, however it'll happen. But, you talked about it, Curtis, of not quitting, and this team hasn't quit, and they haven't shown any signs of quitting. It's frustrating, of course, to continue to lose games by a possession the way that they have. And, we've always made the jokes about it. It seems like whatever team they play, they just find just a little bit worse to play, and that's how it ends up. And so, until that happens, I know we'll get to our final predictions. It may feel like that type of case again here. But the situation, as crazy as it is, guys, it's like these final 3 games, when we looked at it before the year, we're like, man, that's a tough stretch. Back-to-back games against LSU and Texas on the road, and then LSU and then Missouri to close the season out. It's kind of crazy because I'm feeling like of the final 3 games, this is Arkansas's best chance to get a win. I mean, as weird as it is, it's not to say that they have zero chance against Missouri because they always have a chance. Doesn't mean they'll do it. Texas, who knows? I guess we'll find out a lot more about them today as they take on Georgia, but this is the time. You went through that home stretch of your easiest stretch on the schedule, and you didn't get a win. A&M's tough, we know, but Auburn, Mississippi State, those are 2 games you should have won. There's no excuse. You should have won it. You didn't, and this is your time because I don't think if you lose to LSU today, you ain't beating Texas, and you're not going to beat Missouri. I just don't see it happening. So if you want to get to that win column, end it. Because here's another thing, guys. I know there's going to be so much change next football season. I do not want to be entering into the 2026 season on a 10-game losing streak. Like it'd be the longest. I think I could be wrong, but it would have to be the longest in Razorback history. Because even the Chad Morris years, you won that middle game against a Tulsa or whoever. This would be literally you started 2 games and won them, and then you lost 10 in a row. I do not want to enter into the next season. Everyone talking about it constantly. 10-game losing streak. Win one of these games. This one feels like it's your best bet.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. There's so much unknown that goes into this game. There's unknowns with both of these programs in terms of like who's going to lead it moving forward. That's a bigger picture thing. But anytime you have those middle of the season firings and you're doing the interim deal, you can find things to cling on to for a minute. Like maybe Arkansas was doing that for a while where it was, okay, Can we still somehow reach a bowl if that's something that you're into? Are we fighting for Bobby and, potentially him, getting the job or whatever? For LSU, even as, before that Alabama game, they could have even said, yeah, maybe it's unlikely, but man, if we just get to 9-3, if we knock off Bama, we still got an outside shot at the playoff. You never know. And all those hopes are dashed, in on both directions for these teams. So it's kind of about what motivates you out there. And, like we've heard the stuff from Bobby Petrino, and I'm sure I'm sure LSU's interim guy probably says the same thing. And it's like, okay, well, pride for the name on the front of your jersey. And you're doing it for your teammates and your brothers in there, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. You're trying to get good film for the NFL or for your next stop or for your NIL deal or whatever. We're going to find out who's done a good job of motivating them with factors other than, your season and some of the things that you typically see with football programs. I have no idea what to expect. This could be just a clunker between two teams who just don't really care. You could have one team that's far more motivated than the other, and this one gets ugly. I could see a variety of outcomes in this football game, but I do agree with you that looking at these final three here, this feels like the best opportunity for Arkansas to pick up a win. I'd say maybe that Missouri game with their true freshman quarterback at the end of the year would be a close second.
Yeah, we'll see if LSU gets the interim coach bump because, of course, this is their first game with an interim coach. It is weird. I remember early in the year we were having conversations about Hogs fans that may or may not have wanted Arkansas to lose because they felt like for the betterment of the long-term program, it would be in their best interest to lose, go ahead and end the Sam Pittman tenure, go ahead and, clean house and do all this. And we kind of pushed against that and thought that was crazy. Do you think now we have the inverse where you think there are some Razorback fans out there who are worried Arkansas might win this game because then it's going to kind of reheat this Bobby thing? We do a thing a lot of times where we say, well, I hope that we're having this conversation because that means that X, Y, and Z happened. Curtis, I really hope on the post-game show in just a few hours, you and I are having to fend off a bunch of Bobby P for head coach murmurs because that would mean that Arkansas played well and they won a game. And I think it would still be a stupid conversation to have, frankly, but I would prefer to have that because that means that we have something that an Arkansas fan looked at and said, I can believe in that. I can get behind that. And I don't agree with those Arkansas fans. I don't know. Maybe I'll see it. Maybe if they play so well today, I'll be inspired. But I just don't know if I'll necessarily get there. But I at least want to be having the conversation because that means that this team didn't just roll over and quit.
Yep.
That's right. We'll continue on our discussion, get a little to player challenges. We'll have some Saracen prop plays, predictions, all that great stuff. I want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas Football Pregame Show, it's presented by our friends over at OZK Insurance. And a lot of people are always tired of juggling the different insurance companies, trying to find the best one for them. Well, don't worry about it anymore because OZK Insurance is going to have you covered. That's why we use them and recommend them. They're based right here in the state of Arkansas, and they shop multiple carriers to find the best coverage and the best price for you. It doesn't matter if it's home, auto, business, you name it, they do it, they got it. That's why you got to get it done with them. It doesn't matter if it's Saturdays in Razorback Stadium or Saturdays in Bud Walton Arena. You want protection that you can count on, so count on OZK Insurance. They have over 600 five-star Google reviews. It's incredible to see the amount of people that they've helped along the way and how they always give you the best service possible. So again, check them out today and get a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com. That's ozkinsurance.com, or you can call 479-715-4200. That's 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right, guys. So just looking at the individual players, we do our player challenges, which, at this point in time, even when the season's all for naught, it's still one of those deals to where it's like we've pretty much gone through the roster, it feels like, or at least the starters of challenges and everything. But as far as players that I want to challenge today, and I guess what this would be, I'll start it off. We could go with the offense, defense. We don't know what LSU is going to look like specifically and everything, but you're getting to the point to where this is the final stretch for some of these players. And I want to see, I'm going to do the Quincy Rhodes angle. I'm going to take that. Hopefully I didn't take one of y'all's. But the reason I say Quincy Rhodes is because, he's one of those guys that's leading the SEC, or at least one of the leaders in the SEC in sacks. You wouldn't know it given Arkansas's record. Like, you wouldn't know it, but he's been really good. And on some people's, not everybody's, but on some people's NFL draft boards, he's a first rounder, which is just mind blowing. If you think about how many guys get drafted in the first round from an SEC team that went 2-10, it just doesn't happen that often, but he has absolutely elevated himself into that mix, and people are taking notice. People are seeing that. And I know that he obviously is taking notice of it. He's an Arkansas kid. I believe this is only his third year playing. So it's not like he's just this old player that's been around for 6 years. Like he's a eligible draftee that has been there for 3 years. And now the pressure is going to be on him to where it's like, all right, you're in that mix right now, but you got to finish strong here. I want to see him, whether it's Van Buren or whoever, get after the quarterback, cause some noise, and continue to build, because it's at this point, you don't have anything to play for as a team, but you can root for the guys and root for the players to increase their draft stock. I don't know how many players are going to get drafted from this Razorback football team. He may be the only one, but it'd be really cool to see him get into that first round. And I think having some big games here down the stretch, especially against LSU, be the Harold Perkins, that nightmare that you had to witness a couple years ago in Fayetteville, Quincy. Do that. Be the QR code that we never got to use, that cool nickname for you. Be that guy. I challenge Quincy Rhodes to make some noise and really cause some havoc in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy right there, a prime example of somebody that should be highly motivated to continue playing football at a high level, the rest of the season. And I'm with you, man, because he's had a hell of a year and nobody would know it. And it's a product of the team and their lack of success as opposed to him. But now he's starting to garner some attention. He's popping up on boards. Other folks are seeing that and their eyes are open to it. And they're saying, okay, I got to check this dude out. Well, don't go out there and lay an egg, especially against an LSU team with, I know they have at least one freshman on the outside on that offensive line. So should be a matchup he could potentially win there. I can't remember which game it was. They gave up just a ton of sacks against somebody, but at any rate, I'm with you, man. I think he could be somebody that has a good game there. I'm going to go Mike Washington for Arkansas. He's I don't think he's going to catch Ahmad Hardy, who's over 1,000 yards already, and they played the same number of games here. But he Mike Washington's putting together a hell of a season, and it's a cool story. A guy that was brought in out of the transfer portal that we didn't have super high expectations for. We thought he might be the number 2, in a platoon with Braylon Russell, and it's just turned out to not be the case at all. It's his room back there, but he's up to 828 rushing yards on the season, 6 touchdowns. Keep that march, man. Get over the 1,000-yard mark. Get to double-digit rushing touchdowns there. I just like to see him continue to perform, because in terms of like 1-year Hogs, he's come in. It's been rave reviews from him from start to finish, as a teammate, as a workout warrior, as a leader, and now he's kind of backing it up there on the field. So as I look at this team, and it's been such a disappointing season, but there are a few bright spots. I think he's one of them, and I like to see him continue to build on that.
I like that. I would say that y'all picked like probably the 2 best players on the team, like guys that are, like you said, have something to play for, because they actually might get to continue playing football after their days at Arkansas are over with. I'm going from this standpoint of the young guys that I want to show something in these final 3 games, to where as this program moves to a new era with a new head coach and new staff and everything, I want us to be able to look at some of these young guys and say, hey, let's keep this guy around. There's going to be a lot of players on this roster that, frankly, I don't think this fan base is going to miss. I think there's going to be, and I would say the vast, vast majority, a lot of seniors, of course, that are out of eligibility, but there's a lot of players on this roster, frankly, and that's not being disrespectful, that I don't think the fan base is going to necessarily be like, oh man, if we bring in Galesh, we got to keep so-and-so. I don't think that list is going to be very long. One guy that I would like to see work his way onto that list is Mr. CJ Brown, the Bentonville native, who's had some nice little moments this year. He's been a lot better as a sophomore than he was as a freshman. What a crazy concept. Got some opportunities, got his feet wet. Now he's actually out there catching passes, scored a few touchdowns, been in some SEC games, knows what that feels like. I want to see him in these next 3 games level up a little bit. We always say freshmen lose their, you're no longer a freshman once it gets to that second bye week, November, December. Well, you're a true sophomore. Now you're a veteran. Now you're a veteran guy, CJ Brown. I want you to carry yourself that way. I want you to go out there and make plays. Take these matchups personally against SEC opponents. Let whoever it is, whether it's, hey, maybe it's not even going to be at Arkansas. Maybe he ends up going somewhere else. Maybe the new staff looks at him and says, I don't want anything to do with it. Make something for yourself. Make a name for yourself here in these last few games. And CJ Brown's a kid that I really like, and I've been impressed with his progression so far. I would love to see him level up a little bit and really start being an actual threat in these SEC games.
All right, we'll continue to talk about the Golden Boot, because it is the greatest trophy in all of college football that everyone loves and appreciates. But before we do, we want to tell everybody about Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. Let's be honest, Christmas, it'll be here before you know it. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving season. Everyone's getting excited, but Christmas is really where it gets crazy when it comes to the holiday spirit. You start putting up all the decorations. But what does the decorations need? Sure, you could have snowmen, you could have Santa Claus out there, all that great stuff. But it's about the lights. And there's nothing more embarrassing than going out there on your own home and putting up lights that are shameful, just embarrassing, that people are driving by be like, geez, what happened to that house? Why are they hung up one strand and half of it's not even working? And then you're like, man, this is tough. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, stop. Let the professionals help you out with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. If you're in Northwest Arkansas in the River Valley, they will give you a free estimate to be able to provide all the materials, any color, any pattern that you want, where they install the lights, and they give you free maintenance throughout the entire holiday season. And all you got to do is text our guy Brett for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com or like them on Facebook by scanning the QR code right there on your screen. Take you right to it. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. All right, guys. So again, nobody really cares about the game moving forward or like the impact of it because of the stuff that, with Petrino and all that. Just be nice to win, as we talked about. But let's look at a little history of this great rivalry. What do you think about when you think the Golden Boot? Do you think of Arkansas LSU? Is there a certain game that comes to mind, certain moments, certain players, certain matchups, coaches, anything like what? When you think of such an illustrious rivalry game, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, me personally, it's hard to go past 07, 08, but I'm not going to do that because I know you guys are going to want to talk about that for sure. Honestly, sometimes I just find myself in the middle of the night waking up and I go, why am I thinking about Cam Little walking these dudes off and hitting the gritty? And that was one of the funnest games I've ever covered, man, a few years ago. And look at Cam Little now, the best kicker in the NFL, some are saying. But in terms of games that I've covered, that one's way up there in terms of fun. And it was cool. It was a big moment there for Arkansas. And anytime you get a solid celebration after you get a winner like that, that's a good one for me. So I'm going to take one a little bit more recent here. That's in the fun banks of my working days covering the Razorbacks. And I'll let you guys dig a little bit deeper if you like to.
I like that. The first one that comes to my brain is the 07 game. Like when you say Arkansas LSU rivalry, I just picture D-Mac running down that sideline and, Casey Dick coming with the block. Like that's what comes to my brain, but I wasn't at that game. So I can't call that like my favorite memory. My favorite memory, I was actually so bummed I couldn't go to that game, but my favorite memory in person has to be 2010, pour some sugar on me. You beat LSU to go to the Sugar Bowl. All that's great. But yeah, I just miss when this Thanksgiving, this game was played on Thanksgiving. That was always nicer the day after Thanksgiving. I always looked forward to that. Of course, being in Louisiana, cheering against LSU was just something that I hold very dear to my heart. And I miss that, man. I miss whenever my buddies at LSU would be nervous because they were like, dang, we got a good team. We're 9-2, we're 10-2, whatever. But crap, dude, Arkansas always beats us. And it always felt like Arkansas was the ultimate underdog against LSU, toppling the empire. Like it felt like that every single Thanksgiving. And I miss those days. I really do.
Yeah, it was something special for a long time that, I'm not going to sit here and I jokingly, hopefully everyone knows I'm joking when I say it's like one of the greatest rivalries. And it's because it's not. It was a thing that started in 1996. Our guy David Basil made a trophy for it. It's a heavy trophy. Was it like 150 pounds? I mean, it's massive. It is unique in its own way, but there was a time where it felt like in the early 2000s, the winner of this game every time was the winner of the SEC West back when they had divisions. It felt like there was that. And then, you think about the moments and some of the back and forth that you had. And it's just unfortunate, just like everything else with Arkansas football, is it's been pretty one-sided over the past decade. Like you have beaten LSU once since 2015. And that was the year when Ned Orgeron was done. But before that, you kind of had a good run against Les Miles. You did some things. But honestly, to me, as weird as it is, the Miracle on Markham way back when, I know, Curtis, it's exactly what you said. I was going to go way back. But because as a kid, that was one of the cool moments where Arkansas won a game at the last second and shouldn't have. Arkansas played like crap. Matt Jones was not good in that game at all. But then he was just like, all right, well, I guess I better go win this real quick. And just made plays, beat Nick Saban. I think the biggest thing about that was Arkansas getting the unsportsmanlike penalty when DeCorey Berman caught the touchdown and they had to back the extra point up. And everyone's like, just imagine how things would have been different if they missed the extra point because of the 15-yard penalty. Probably wouldn't have been as fun. But I think about that. I think about, of course, going to the Sugar Bowl in 2010, Darren McFadden triple overtime deal. One of the first times I ever saw Baton Rouge and Death Valley get emptied early was in 2015 when Arkansas won that game down there in the road. That was crazy. 2014 shutting them out. There has been some pretty great, pretty fun moments for Arkansas and LSU. It just hasn't been recently, unfortunately. But I've appreciated it. I've respected the fun behind it, and I'm hopeful that it gets back to that. I'm just happy too, guys, that this is a permanent opponent for Arkansas moving forward. That was something we were thinking about, but there's just may not be one that care or people in LSU care that much about. But I know Arkansas, there's always going to be some special connections there with this game.
Yeah, we just kind of rattled off so many good memories of this one, and there's been some heartbreak too, but kind of feel like they should put an asterisk on this game when it goes in the record books. Like, hey, everybody understand what this was. It's not representative of what we want this little rivalry to be. But I say that, and hell, we might be blown away in the next few hours. Could you imagine if this game wound up being an instant classic where, it didn't have any real big picture, there's no magnitude behind the result there, but if it's just an absolute duel and we get some kind of crazy 4 or 5 overtime type of deal, and we hop on the post game show afterwards and we're like, wow, that was actually a lot of fun. I'd be okay with that.
I mean, there are just a weird amount of parallels between this game and the 2021 game where I guess Ed Orgeron, had he been fired yet in that 2021 season?
I think he pretty much was. I don't know if he officially was, but I think everyone just knew.
I think maybe they had announced he wasn't going to return, but you had some kind of an interim coach thing going on. And then I know Sam Pittman's year 2 there. You had a freshman kicker that hit a game winner for Cam Little in 2021, Scott Starzik, no pressure, buddy. And you had a veteran quarterback who was benched for a younger guy, which may happen again with LSU. Nussmeier was on the good end of it last time. He might be on the bad end of it in this game. There's a little bit of some magic there.
Yeah, I was looking at it, by the way. October 17th was when Ed Orgeron was told that he would not return as the Tigers head coach, which was before Arkansas played them. So,
So you did have an interim coach there. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was the interim coach. He was his own interim coach, but
yeah.
Nobody lame ducked it like Ed Orgeron.
Yeah. It's like, well, shout out to him for finishing the year, and what was it he said? The touchdown club. What's that?
He was such a good interim coach at USC. If you're looking for an interim coach, there's not many more qualified.
No, he's electric at that. And of course, he said at the Little Rock Touchdown Club when they fired him because of how much money he's going to get, you tell me what door to walk out of and what do you need me to go by or whatever it was. But it was just, it was electric, man. And that's just crazy to think that the time it is in 2015 too. If you think about it, that was essentially what led to the end of Les Miles was that loss that he took to Arkansas. So the wins that you're going to say if you won today, past 3 wins against LSU just aren't going to hit like they maybe did the previous 3 wins that you had against LSU. Just different circumstances.
Is Les Miles still in the game, or is he done now?
I think he's done.
After
he had a little run at Kansas.
Yeah.
He has to be done. I mean, for crying out loud, it's like he started doing his hair, like dyeing his hair and stuff. It's like, all right, man, like we get it. It's
he did some bad things, I think.
Yeah, there were some other things too, I'm sure, that popped up. Some criminal things, but still, he's out of the game from what we know. But either way, let's look at some of these prop plays that we'll get into here in just a second from Bet Saracen. We want to remind everybody that Goat Lab Brewery and Goat Lab Red, it is your place for your Razorback game day tradition. If you're looking for a great place to watch the game today, or maybe pregame, or maybe postgame. Maybe it's Razorback basketball that you want to check out during the midweek or on Saturdays. Maybe it's you want to watch Inside Arkansas live at lunchtime with some great burgers and some great brews at noon. Then Goat Lab Red's your place. They're going to be always having their big TVs playing every Razorback game. They have progressive wings that they do during games. And it's going to be happening again today, where the more points that are scored, the cheaper the wings will be. And they are phenomenal. And they also have, of course, their signature brews like Goat Lab brews, like Razorback, Tusk, and Tusk Light. And don't forget, they also have their signature burgers that are phenomenal as well. So you need to check them out with Goat Lab Red. It's 1214 North Garland Avenue. In 1214 North Garland Avenue, right there, close to campus. It's going to be beautiful. It's an awesome place to go. So be sure to check it out for your pregame, during the game, post-game action. It's Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville, your new game day tradition. All right, guys. So looking at some of the Bet Saracen prop plays that we always have a lot of fun with. A lot of them going on here. Andrew, and we can start with you. Looking at some of these props, the double R props from Bet Saracen. Any of them really stand out to anyone you're feeling in this matchup?
So I'm going to start with just one pick. because I'm a nice guy. And I'm going to go with a young man by the name of Omega Blake, who has actually been pretty solid from a prop standpoint. I think he's cashed his at least 2 or 3 times, and sometimes he has different ones. He's got multiple different options on this one. The one that I like, though, is him to catch 1 touchdown and have more than 14.5 yards per reception, which we know he is likely to do. That is plus 250 for Arkansas's number 1 receiving target to catch a touchdown and average 15 yards per reception at least. I like that one at plus 250.
All right. I can get down with that one. I thought about doing, again, I'm hopefully not stealing Curtis's here, but he inspired me from his Mike Washington, for his challenge of plays. So this one, I like it plus 300. Mike Washington to average over 5.5 yards per carry and over 12.5 yards after catch, because I just feel like he's going to run the ball well, which is great. But that 12.5 yards after catch, it's only going to be on one. It's going to be a screen pass or something out in the flat, something to that extent. Or my favorite thing, technically a pass when they do the forward pitch, I guess, or the end around, but he throws it in front of them, technically a pass. I'll take that. But I feel like Mike Washington is going to have a nice game. The plus 300 especially is really great odds, if you're asking me. And so I think that they're going to get pretty wild with it. Mike Washington has a big one, and I think he averages at least over 5.5 yards a carry and over 12.5 yards after catch for plus 300.
I like it. No, I like it, man. That's a good one there for sure. I know it's hard out there in these streets, and my advice to any of you out there who are worried about making your rent next month, take what you have and put it on Rohan Jones, because he's good for it. He's good for it, man. He's a cash cow out there. So I look at him right here with over 1.5 receptions, over 45.5 yards receiving at plus 250. He's a yards per reception merchant. They're going to find him at least once wide open out there with nobody within 15 yards of him. He'll probably get that in 1 catch. But you're asking for this kid to get 2 for 45. Yeah, sign me up for that, man. I always go back to the well when in doubt. And that's why I kind of like it when I go last on these, because I have a few different things that I'm looking at, but I always know that I can turn to Rohan Jones if it gets to me and he hasn't been used yet. So
I like that. I mean, dude, you want to talk about you said a cash cow. Like, seriously, he's hit his prop at least 5 times, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, it was literally every single one of the first 4 games he would hit it, and they kept making it larger and larger. It was like 31 yards per reception. He would have 34. It was crazy.
Yes. It's like Malik Thomas and in his 3-point attempts, and now they're just like, all right, 13. So.
Yeah. You know who has not hit his props in a while? Mr. Taylor Green.
Yeah.
Not been cashing a ton. He was cashing early when we were playing bad competition. I don't know what happened. And I know he's got a tough test with this LSU defense. I've got a couple for him that I have my eye on. So the first one sounds like it's asking a lot out of him. Over 32.5 pass attempts, over 22.5 completions. And so you're like, oh, man, he's got to complete a ton of passes. If Arkansas is down in this game, they're going to be throwing a good bit, you would imagine. That's plus 325. So fat, juicy odds. If Arkansas is behind all game and they're throwing a ton, I feel like that's, doable at least. It becomes a 50-50 thing, and it's plus 325. I also like him over 62.5 completion percentage, which he actually does more often than not. I don't know what his completion percentage for the year is, but it's over 63%, right? And for his longest pass combined with that to be over 29.5, you mentioned a lot of those Rohan Jones wide open 38 yards downfield and just easy reception. Seems like Arkansas always, even if they're not playing good offense, they create big plays every now and then. So complete a 30-yard pass, complete 63% of your passes, which you should be able to do, and that's plus 250. Can I interest you on a little Mike Washington? Over 2.5 receptions, 14.5 yards, plus 250.
I like it.
On the yardage.
Yeah, that fits what I was going for, on my prop play. So yeah, I may have to double up on that. How about this real quick, guys, too, because there's some other specials that they have. If you were going to choose a Razorback player that would score 2 or more touchdowns in this game, which player would be most likely, or who would you go with in that one?
Moneymaker Mac.
Mike Washington.
Mike Washington is plus 450. He's plus 450 if he was to score 2+ touchdowns. What do you guys say?
I was just flashing the 2, just as you went into.
Then Omega Blake's at plus 600. Taylor Green, it's carrying or receiving, not passing, at plus 750. Braylon Russell at plus 1,500. You know what's funny is I'm going to throw this into the mix. It won't happen, but it's just so drunk that I have to do it. Arkansas defense special teams at plus 7,500.
2 touchdowns.
Hey,
75 to 1 odds.
Hey, listen, maybe Cam Shanks gets his scoop and score. I don't know. But how
John,
about
your Jets cashed that in the first quarter the other day.
They
had a defensive and a special teams like right away.
The one inspired me for bad football teams. It's like, hey, stuff like that can happen. So, but you're talking about Rohan Jones. He's plus 3,000 to have 2+ touchdowns. So,
I think Talen's interesting. Read me Talen's numbers plus 750.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's intriguing just because, think about it. They get down near the goal line, they're probably going to run a read option.
Yeah.
It becomes a 50-50 thing at that point, whether it's him, Braylon, or whatever. But it's like Talen's always going to be 50% of that equation anytime you run a read option near the goal line. Plus, he's always liable to just like scramble for 40 yards and get there.
Yeah. Oh, and how about this, guys? The first Arkansas team touchdown scorer. Who do you think scores the first Arkansas touchdown in this one?
Mike Washington.
Yeah, stick with Mike. I think Mike's going to have like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, he's plus 250. So if you feel that.
Does he have to be the first touchdown scorer of the entire game?
It's just Arkansas team touchdown. So
I like that, though.
Yeah, I do too. Taylon Green at plus 325, Omega Blake plus 425. Braylon Russell is the one I like. Always like, having the big back if they get on the goal line. Plus 650 in this one for the first touchdown. Raylan Sharp plus 1,000. And then if you think Cam Shanks or Arkansas defense special teams plus 2,000 for those two. So
worth noting that Braylon Russell is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna play, I would imagine, but he is questionable. So I don't know if that'll affect his heavy workload that they don't give him.
Let's say, what impact will it truly have, if anything? So lots of great prop plays, though, folks. Be sure to go over to Bet Saracen and download the app by clicking the link below in our description. You can also scan that QR code right there. And when it goes to take you to the download screen and you download the app, be sure to use our code Inside AR. That's Inside AR. You know why? Because when you use that code, you get when you bet $25, you get $125. So when you just heard of all of our fire prop plays that we just named off to you, all you got to do is bet that $25 on them and you'll get $125 right then. Boom. And then you can just double up on all of them too. You keep winning and you can only keep winning with Bet Saracen. So again, scan that QR code or click the link below in our description and download the app. And when you download the app, use that code Inside AR with Bet Saracen. It's Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. All right, guys, before we roll out of here for today on the Inside Arkansas Football pregame show presented by Bet Saracen, let's go ahead and give our little final score predictions. I know our Razorback update did that, but just to kind of go through it a little bit, I'm going to stick. Sometimes I change it, whenever it goes from Reagan's Razorback update to now, but I'm sticking with it. I think Arkansas loses 48-45. 3-point game once again, high scoring, drunk game. I think maybe LSU gets ahead. Somebody's going to be ahead 3 scores in this game, but it's still going to be ending in a field goal victory for LSU. Either Arkansas is going to have a big lead and they blow it, or LSU is going to have a big lead and Arkansas storms back, but it still doesn't matter. Still not enough. I'm sorry, everybody. I hate to do it, but Arkansas loses another 1-possession game with a field goal loss to LSU in the golden boot that LSU, they're going to run after. Is going to stay there in Baton Rouge. So give me the Tigers, unfortunately.
Real quick, John, I think you should also, if you believe that's going to happen, Arkansas to score 40-plus points at 16-1.
Ooh, it's a good one then. Didn't see that.
An interesting one.
Yeah.
Both teams to score 35 is also 7-1 on Saracen.
May have to do that then too. So, but yeah, sorry guys. I got Arkansas losing again.
Got Arkansas winning. I don't care. I said I wasn't going to pick them to win another game until they did. I'm a liar. You can't trust me for anything. Let's get weird. Why not? I don't know that any team really cares, and it doesn't matter for either one of them. I don't know. Why not? I'm with you, John. Like, I don't want to see them losing 10 in a row. Let's not go over in the SEC again. Let's not go back to where we were, where Chad left us. So sign me up for an Arkansas win. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I know Scott Starzik's going to end it. 27-26 Razorbacks.
I like that a lot. It's funny. I actually see the case for it. One, because LSU, they just can't score. And so if this game becomes any version of a shootout, I actually do kind of think Arkansas is in a good position here. So both of the point totals that you guys laid out, I think would favor Arkansas. One thing I've noticed about LSU, their offense, people say it, I'm stealing this joke straight up from Hunt Palmer. I'm just going to say it. People say LSU's offense is not consistent. They consistently score right around 17 points, almost every single game. They score almost exactly 17 points. I think they scored 9 at Alabama the other day, but they really stay in that same range. But one thing I have noticed, their opponents also stay in that same range. All of LSU's point totals, they're all like 20-17. Matter of fact, if you look it up, their schedule, every single game they played in has been 20-17, one way or the other. And so it's like they just have a unique ability to muck games up, and then they still lose these games because their offense is bad. But I have a feeling they are going to muck this game up. The challenge for Arkansas is going to be, can you make this more of a shooters, back and forth offensive scoring fest, which we saw Arkansas or Auburn get into with Vandy with an interim coach. So, college football, anything can happen. But me personally, I feel like this game is going to be a low scoring, ugly, field position, turnovers, penalties, all the above. I have Arkansas losing 23-20. We just can't have 2/3 of us picking Arkansas to win when they are 2-7,
Yeah, it'd be bad optics. Can't have that. So, but real quick, guys, before we roll out of here, I'm just also going to say, in addition to this, if Arkansas wins on a game-winning field goal by Scott Starzik and he does not gritty, he needs to enter into the portal. Just saying. He's not allowed back next year. So you hear it, Scott, you better gritty if you hit the game winner like Cam Little. That's the tradition of 1 year. Anytime you beat LSU down on the road against an interim coach
with a freshman kicker,
you have to do the gritty there in Baton Rouge and in LSU and Tiger Stadium. So, but either way, folks, it's hopefully it's a good game. Yeah, if I can even speak because this game sucks so bad. If this is a good game, let's have some fun with it. Let's hope for a win. So we can have the post-game show presented by Bet Saracen where the vibes are higher. Everyone's really still excited because it's been too long since you've known what a win's like. It's been months at this point. So let's just hope for the best. But we'll be back here for our Inside Arkansas football post-game show presented by Bet Saracen, having all the reactions between Arkansas and LSU going down. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Enjoy your afternoon. Enjoy the game, folks. And we'll see you right here after Arkansas LSU with our Inside Arkansas post-game show.